Hello, it's Phil Thatch, and I'm here at this wetlands in Dayton, Tennessee. It's kind of a wetlands, marsh, pond, something like that. Great wildlife habitat, bird habitat. I've come here a few times over the years and haven't really found much to photograph, but a friend of mine commented on a video that came out yesterday and said that this is a good place to go right now to photograph red-winged blackbirds and tree swallows. So I said, okay, I'm off tomorrow, I'll come and check it out, and here I am. I have seen red-winged blackbirds and tree swallows. They're a little bit too far away for me to get a shot so far, and I've been hearing a song sparrow, which just sang right on cue, and I've gotten a couple of shots of it. It's really 100% overcast and actually slightly raining right now. So with this f7.1 lens, my shutter speeds are crazy slow to try to keep my ISO down, which I know some of you say just go ahead and use a fast shutter speed and run your ISO up and fix it later, but I try to get my ISO as low as I can while I'm making the shot, but whatever works best for you. I'm using the R7 and the 100 to 500 today, and I'm going to show you, I think the first thing I'm going to show you is a song sparrow shot that I got.
Here's a song sparrow, and I actually got a lot more pictures that I was happy with in this first section of the video than I thought while I was out in the field. Here is a red-winged blackbird as it is doing its call there on a stump, and I think the reason that I wasn't satisfied with these pictures while I was taking them is because they were kind of small in the frame. And here's a female red-winged blackbird, and I'm used to having the birds kind of large in the frame while I'm working back home in the blind, but I have to get back used to working out in the field where things are much smaller in the frame. Another female red-winged blackbird, and here is one more female red-winged blackbird there on a cattail. There's a lot of croppability in the Canon R7 with its 32.5 megapixels, so the bird doesn't have to be huge in the frame.
It's a good thing I brought my rubber boots with me today, because I'd be soaked if I didn't.
Here's another red-winged blackbird on a stump, just beautiful, and this one was particularly beautiful. Such dark blacks and bright reds and yellows. And here is probably the song sparrow that I was talking about, perhaps being the first photograph that I showed you in the video. I was going to show you these two, and all the ones that I had showed you before this I thought weren't even usable. This thing was very full in the frame, and I always love to see wild daisies. So I usually will get a shot of a wild daisy if I see one, and here is another shot of the beautiful song sparrow that was there near the wetlands in Dayton. I got many shots of it, as you can see.
I've moved down further away from the highway. That's Highway 27 right over here, or there, and I've moved down further kind of towards the far corner, and there's some nice dead trees here, and the tree swallows are getting relatively close, not as close as I can get to them at the Chickamauga Dam, but this is a much more natural setting to photograph them in. And I've gotten a couple of shots of them. There goes, I think that might be a rough wing that just flew by. So there's a lot of swallows here. Now, I am not talented enough to get in-flight shots of tree swallows, especially not when it's so dark like it is today, but I'll still get some shots.
Here is a tree swallow, and look, there's a spider web below it, very small in the frame, but still very beautiful. I love these tree swallows, and I also love these red-winged blackbirds. They're just amazingly beautiful birds, these males, so dark black with very bright red. And here's another tree swallow. I think it's on that same perch or a very similar perch to the one before. And then I also ran across a really scraggly looking Northern Mockingbird, but I went ahead and made a photograph of it. And next up is another tree swallow here. This is on a stump, and this stump further down has a hollowed out hole there where the tree swallows are nesting.
Well, there's nowhere near enough light for the lens I'm about to change to, but I'm going to walk back to the car and switch to the 800 f11 to get some real power out here. You need brighter light than this for that lens, but I'm just a little too far away for the birds for my liking, so let's see if some focal length will help. All right, there we have it. 800 times 1.6 equals 1,280 millimeters full frame equivalent. I put the f11 lens on, and I came back over here to kind of the cattail area, which you may be able to see, which is where the female red-winged blackbirds have been hanging around a little bit, and definitely was able to get a nice nearly frame-filling shot of a female red-winged blackbird. And then that same, I'm almost sure it's that same song sparrow that I saw earlier today, flew up and landed in one of those small trees behind me. and I would have gotten a great shot of it if I still had the 100 to 500 on, but with this, it landed closer than minimum focus distance. So that's something to think about with this lens as well.
Here's a female red-winged blackbird there using the RF 800mm f11, and I'd like to point out that the bokeh area around the bird is very beautiful, even on this f11 lens.
Well, I found this one spot where you can get right down to the edge, and I'd been standing on the bank the last time I came over here, but this time I decided to test how deep it is, and it's not deep, so I could put my feet there and then sit on the bank. And just over there is a short tree, a short dead tree, and it has a hollowed out area with a tree swallow nest. So that's pretty cool. Even with the 800, I'm not filling the frame with the bird, but it's close enough.
Here's the tree swallow in the nest there, just absolutely beautiful. I think woodpeckers hollow out their nests and use them for a season, and then the tree swallows use them on the next season. And here's another tree swallow shot with the 800 on a small short branch on another one of the stumps there at the wetlands.
I'm still sitting with my feet in the marsh, and a green heron flew up and landed in that tall tree over there, which I think I might have in the shot, maybe not, a long way away, but I was able to get a shot of it. It was definitely my first green heron of the year, unless you count the one I got in January in Florida.
So I guess this is my first green heron in Tennessee this year, and what a beautiful example it is. It always seems like I need the R7 and its 1.6 crop with the 800mm f11 to bag a green heron in Tennessee, where in Florida I can do it with much less extreme gear.
You can see there in front of me in the center of the screen, that is the tree that has the hole in it where there's a nest. And on the top of that tree, I've made a number of photographs of tree swallows there. But finally, the bird that was in the nest came out, and so I was able to make a shot of two birds on the top. But from my seated position, the background is sky. So I had to stand up, and then the background would be trees in the distance, much, much better background. But I just stood up in the marsh, so I'm getting more and more brave here, and probably foolish. I'm probably going to fall in this thing before the day's over. But anyway, let's look at the shot of the two birds. Even at f11, I don't think both of them are in focus because they're not on the same plane. But anyway, at least one of them is.
Here are the two tree swallows there on the stump, and this is the stump that has the carved out nest below that. And I love the way this turned out, even though the bird in the background is slightly out of focus. Here's another shot of those two with the one that's in focus preening. And I really love the way these turned out. And then I sat back down and put the camera on my knee to make this really low angle shot of this red-winged blackbird in the distance. And you can see some rain in this shot. I kept the camera on my knee for this next shot. This is, I don't know if it's a beaver nest or what it is, but this Canada goose is doing some nesting itself on top of it. So I made this shot also with the camera resting on my knee.
Well, that's going to do it for me today here at the Wetlands in Dayton, Tennessee. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, a thumbs up is always appreciated. If you want to see some more, subscribe, hit the bell. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.